Welcome to Midday Roast with Team SI. I'm Lanny Bird, and with me today is Jessica Duff, our Director of Digital Strategy here at Team SI. Midday Roast is just a chance for we here at Team SI to share with our friends, our clients, what's going on in digital marketing, what's going on in data and technology. And this week, we're talking about a hot new topic, digital ad fraud and security and what's going on with it. We have Mark Zuckerberg is going to be in front of Congress next week from Facebook to talk about what they've done with privacy there. And we kind of want to talk about that and share some opinions and some stuff we've learned about it. Kind of interesting sidebar is the process to start Midday Roast live today. We were about 5 minutes late because of some changes Facebook has made to their API to make it more secure. And there were a couple of extra buttons we had to check and figure out that they rolled out last night.
Literally last night.
Literally last night that they didn't tell us about. That made us a little bit late. So, and we think that's probably going to be par for the course for the next couple of weeks as we engage with Facebook and other ad platforms when they're trying to make sure they're more secure and together and protect your information. There's going to be a couple of extra hoops for people to jump through.
Mm-hmm. And that's probably a good, I know we kind of have an order to go through, but it might be good to talk about that in particular for folks, especially if you have a business page, to kind of do almost a audit of everything that you have connected to your Facebook page, whether it's your Instagram profile or if you connect your Twitter to it, because some of these changes in the settings as far as who's allowed to see all of your posts and who's allowed to see information of the fans of your pages, that sort of information is all being changed and updated because they want to make sure that they're protecting you, the user, but also the businesses as well with these changes that they're making.
Right. Basically, any app, any outside source that you've connected to your Facebook page, they're making you go back and re-authenticate it and sometimes authenticate in a new way that's going to create issues as we push through the process. Mm-hmm. So that's become really important that you go back and, like Jessica said, and do an audit. Probably
a continuous audit too.
Yeah, it's like almost once a week, go back and check for the next couple of weeks. But let's step back from that, Facebook in particular, and say overall, when we're talking about digital ad fraud and security, why is the topic a big deal? Why is it important?
I think the biggest point is because as a consumer, looking on that end of things, you want to make sure that because security and is my information going to get hacked or whatever is such a hot topic right now that if I'm served an ad and I click it to go somewhere, that it's taking me to the correct spot and the information that is tracked that got me to that ad, what are they going to do with it? Is my address, is my phone number, is my social security, is any other sidebar type of information going to be released just by me clicking this ad to go buy that pair of shoes or order that new fragrance, whatever it may be. So it's very important for the consumer to feel safe and secure when they're clicking on an ad. And then on the other side of it, the flip side, the advertiser, for us doing these for our clients, or if you're a business doing them directly, you want to make sure that you're as transparent as possible in those ads that you are displaying, that the information that you're putting out there, you're leading them back to a very safe and secure website and a secure source. So if they do a transaction completion through your website, that it's done in a safe and secure manner. Okay,
so there's a couple of acronyms surrounding this whole digital ad fraud and security and what's going on. One of them is blockchain. Can you tell us, not an acronym, just a new word. Can you tell us what, an acronym is GDPR.
Right.
And we'll get to that in a second. But blockchain, can you explain to us from your perspective what blockchain is?
So essentially, if you break it down into two, the block and the chain, the block is going to be that list, the chain is going to be that list of every step that's going to be involved. The block is going to be essentially the aggregate of data that's gathered. So you've got this list of data and the chain of people,
everything that's
sites,
touched.
everything that touches the ad as it goes through. So the issue is because there's so many parties involved. There's not just one website where an ad is served. You're looking at thousands upon thousands. So getting that involvement on making sure that your website is on that chain of protected sites is where kind of the issue lies. But the definition is breaking down the block and the chain.
Right, and that really is how blockchain is applied to digital advertising,
Mm-hmm.
and blockchain technology is being used now in financial services industries for online transaction, and we even had a client who's using blockchain in the food industry to track food as it goes through the system. So lots of different applications for blockchain, but specifically from us, from a consumer perspective, where's that ad coming from? How is it touching you? What information is it sharing? And then from a business perspective, what is the ad actually being served on
Right.
the website that I'm paying it to be served on, and did someone see it, you know,
Right.
to prevent fraud. So there's fraud from both a user and a business perspective.
Definitely.
Now, part of this whole blockchain and ad fraud is this other concept of GDPR. You don't have to tell me that the acronym means, but what is GDPR and why is it important?
Well, it's really, if you live in Europe or you're involved with any European business, that's where you're going to feel the direct effect. It's basically a very strict lockdown of privacy laws for the European Union. So all of the countries involved with the European Union and associated businesses will be effective. I think it's May 28th. Some very strict privacy user laws.
Yeah, but I don't do business in Europe, and my websites aren't in Europe, so why does it matter to me?
Believe it or not, the effects of what they experience there will trickle over to the United States. And in the chain of things, I mean, if you think as far as the internet is an open space, something that we're running here, a parameter should be set for your ad to only be served in certain areas. But what's happening over in Europe is eventually, I mean, it may not be an immediate, but within the next 12 months or so, we'll be able to probably
I
pull
think
from
what you're
they're
saying
doing.
is there are such a significant, what's happening, the European participation in the digital ad community is such a significant percentage of the overall community that the rules that
100%.
they implement for them are going to affect us, because it's easier just to apply the rules across the board. And if someone in Europe could end up seeing one of our ads, it still applies. The rules still apply to us, the
Right.
GDPR rules.
The percentage of those countries and ultimately businesses that are participating will feel the effects of GDPR is so significant that we can only anticipate this to happen within 12 to 18 months
Okay, now
in the U.S.
one piece of the whole GDPR process is cookies.
Yes.
Let's talk about what a cookie is, and then we can talk
Chocolate
about
chip.
chocolate chip.
A
That's
snickerdoodle.
I really like oatmeal raisin cookies.
Okay, well, you're one of the few.
Okay, but how do
You can have
cookies
all
apply to
oatmeal.
digital marketing?
So overall, the way that you are served an ad 90% of the time is because you were cookied on a website. So you visited a website and clicked around, like for instance, Children's Place. It's a children's clothing store. I'm on there all the time. Clicked on a couple different outfits that I liked for my kids, but never actually bought anything. Well, now I was cookied, and all those pages I visited, I'm being served
And even
ads.
every ad you're served, you're dropped a cookie.
Oh yes. So I'm being served the exact images that I looked at over there because those habits and items that I clicked on, I was cookied as a user. And unless I refresh or did it in a incognito window and cleared my data after every single time I visit a website, each time I'm there without clearing my cache and clearing my cookies, then I'm going to be cookied for
Right.
what I'm searching
And so
for.
now we have a couple of opportunities, a way to block cookies. There's some ways in the GDPR regulations that are blocking cookies, but we also have some web browsers that have just said that, hey, the cookie game is wrong. It was a great way when the internet was in its infancy to have continuation of data, but people have abused that.
Right.
So we're just going to block cookies across the board, and you have to figure out a new way of how to communicate with your clients and keep track of them. So what is the results of that from a digital marketing perspective, do you think?
Well, a lot of it is going to be interest targeting, and the ads are becoming, you shift from that very niche ad that you're being able to send because you knew exactly what the user was looking at, to something a little bit more broad and generic, like I'm a mother of 2 children, so sending me a diaper ad or children's clothing ad would fit, but it wouldn't be the exact Pampers size 4 that I was looking at, or the girl size 8 shoes.
Yeah.
So it
and we've
wouldn't be
really
as specific.
seen in the past 12 months really a shift in our data categories that we can use so we're not so reliant on cookies. So it's almost like our ad vendors, our ad technology providers have seen this coming, and we've shifted to where we have one-to-one marketing, and we know who you are individually without a cookie, and
kind
we're
of falls
able
into that
to
persona.
right. We're able to target you outside of that cookie in a cookieless world, which that makes me really sad not to have cookies. So
Yes, I need my
I'm
cookies.
talking about oatmeal raisin cookies, though, not
Chocolate
chocolate chip.
chip.
Yeah, or chocolate chip too. Yeah, cool. All right. So, what other big picture concepts around digital ads and fraud do you think are really important to consider?
Well, I think the biggest thing is to not, while it is a great concern, to not freak out. I mean, when Facebook came out and the announcement that they had been hacked, that kind of freaked out the digital marketing world. It freaked out users.
84 million users hacked.
I mean, it was huge. And then just last week, I got an email alert. MyFitnessPal, owned by
Had a
Under
data
Armour,
breach, right.
they had a data breach. So I mean, you're looking at millions of users there. There are people and policies and procedures in place to be ready for these sort of things. They can't always prevent it because, you know, the hacks are going to happen. I mean, someone is going to find that loophole to get in. But like what Mark Zuckerberg is doing right now and coming out with, presenting to Congress, okay, yes, this happened, but this is what we're doing to fix it. Like, just know that there's going to be a solution, and you can't like go hole up in your home and turn all of your internet off and think
put on your
that's-
aluminum foil hat.
that's how you're going to save yourself. I mean, still use the internet. You're going to be fine. It's just knowing that this may happen, but there's got to be a preventative measure to keep it from happening again.
You know, Grace, next time we talk about internet security and fraud,
We're going to wear
I want an aluminum foil hat I can put on. I used to have one I kept in my desk when I worked somewhere else that I could give to people that came into my office freaking out.
That's
And
hilarious.
just give them the hat to wear while we're talking about it, just so that makes them feel more confident about no one's tapping into their thoughts and ideas.
Because aluminum foil can keep out.
Yeah, I mean, it keeps
everything.
out from someone reading your brain.
There you go.
Yeah, cool. All
But
right.
it is important to just, not jump into freak out mode and think that you have to turn everything off because, I mean, you may think you're turning everything off. Chances are there's still
Yeah.
going to be that loophole.
And I also think there's probably a bigger picture conversation we can have. So historically, your use of Facebook and your use of websites, it's almost a trade that you're making between my privacy and the services I'm getting in return and the connections I'm making using someone's technology like Facebook. And I was having this conversation with one of the partners at MHP the other day, and to this day, it's basically they've thought millennials and the generation beyond millennials, like my kids that are 17 and 18, they think they live in a privateless world, a world where privacy doesn't exist,
Right.
where they're willing to make this transaction continually. Do you think that's going to continue? Because some people have said in wake of these Facebook revelations, in wake of GDPR and how that's talking about that thought of not being able to have privacy is we're going to flip the coin.
I don't think that's going to change. I think there's this mentality of that generation that acceptance is being public.
Right.
And so they're going to have that desire to want to share their life in a public way. So in order to interact from a cost standpoint, and when you think of revenue, it's going to have to be in a public manner. I mean, thank goodness my daughter's only 4.5 and doesn't own an electronic device where I have to worry about that kind of thing. But those in, the 20-somethings and the early 30-somethings who, they have their device and they're always connected, I don't see, they're just too connected. They grew up with it. I mean, Facebook came out when I was in college, and I'm still very active on it today. As Facebook makes changes on privacy, I adjust accordingly with my page, but I mean, I don't see myself cutting off. I don't see, I can't picture your kids cutting off from the social world. Like,
So-
it's just, they're too ingrained in it.
So, and I know we're kind of off topic here, but let me go down this rabbit. So we've seen,
There's a rabbit hole. Go.
yeah, there's a rabbit. So we've seen specifically, if we talk about under 21 usage of social networks, kind of go from Facebook to Instagram to now Snapchat. And one of the hallmarks of Snapchat is really the privacy and control of, I can make my story public, I can only send it to a couple of friends, do you think that's any way related, like, to as a knee-jerk reaction to the whole privacy issue, that I want some little thing, I want to be able to share what I want to be able to share?
I think so. I think it's really smart on the developers of these social platforms to make that their advertising feature. Like when Snapchat came out and that idea, once they kind of really honed in on this is a safe place to share. And I mean, I know some people still abuse it with the content that's shared in that 24-hour setting, but to know, hey, I just took a really funny picture, I want to share it with a few friends, but I don't want it to be out there for eternity.
Right.
That they do kind of feel safer in that way, and it was really smart for Snapchat and then Instagram to come out with their version of it as well.
Now, if we flip the coin and say from an advertiser perspective, though, that's become one of our newest ways to reach that audience.
Yes.
You know, Instagram story ads and Snapchat ads are something that we're running every day. That's a really unique format. We're getting really high interactivity and click-through rates for those. So if your audience is one of those groups that's on Instagram or on Snapchat, so basically if you're a mom under 35 really at this point, or or either gender, anyone under 25, Snapchat or Instagram stories is the place to go find your audience.
Definitely. Agreed.
Yeah. I mean, I think you've had some clients that you've had some success stories. I know that we've had some children's hospitals that have done excellent on Instagram stories.
Yes.
And so a great place to go and reach out. Where people are turned to because there's an element of privacy.
Right.
But we don't,
But you're still getting the ad in when you need
we're
to.
still able to get the ad in. And so far, we still have the data to target them.
Right.
So far. So.
Fingers crossed.
All right. Any last comment on blockchain security, digital ad fraud, or anything?
I know
or
for
privacy
we have,
while we're there.
From a business standpoint and business pages, the article that we referenced at the beginning that Facebook released, it's on their website, but we can post in the comments afterward a link so that if you're curious what those API changes are and what you need to be looking for with that audit, we'll just post that link to the blog.
Yeah, and let's just to give a caveat that language is written
It's
for
developer
developer speak, so it may be difficult for you to understand, and if you need some help parsing what it means and how to apply it
Just
to your
comment
business, you can comment back, and we'll be able to get back with you, or you could reach out to us on social media at We Are Team SI, or go to visit our website at teamsi.com, and we'll be able to help
We
you.
have a few people around here that can translate developer speak.
Yeah, and walk you through how that supposedly works. All right. Anything else, Grace, that we need to talk about?
No.
Okay, well, we appreciate everybody joining us today for Midday Roast, and looking forward to talking to you next week. Thanks.